kind of how the game went. Not a lot of plays, and then got behind in the second half, so the attempts weren't what we would have liked it to be. But that's an area we have to improve upon. When we're running the ball better, we're playing better as an offense.
Kliff, obviously Terry had a setback, having re-injuring his quad injury last week. And it's kind of a familiar situation for the other receivers who's have to stepped up all season long. But what more do you need to see out of those guys to kind of account for Terry's absence?
Yeah, I don't think you can account for a player like that. Obviously, it's hard to step in and fill those shoes. But collectively, just more consistency. Week in, week out. I think guys have made plays at times and stepped up when asked, but I just think overall as a group we got to be more consistent, and the margin for error gets smaller and smaller when Terry's not out there.
And then when it comes for Jaden, he's also been in and out of the lineup, so I'm sure that's made it tricky for him to develop chemistry with those guys. What sort of extra work have you guys done to try to work on that? Yeah,
just pre-practice, post-practice, as many extra reps as we can get with those guys and not, kill them. We've been trying to get that in and build that rapport and build that timing and getting on the same page.
Coach, from the outside looking in, we hear about all of the hours that coaches devote during the season, especially, and all of the late nights and early mornings. Through this season thus far, with the ups and downs, with the missed opportunities, what's keeping you up the most at night, and how does this offense fix those things?
Yeah, to me, just the inconsistency, week in, week out, like moving the ball at times, just not scoring it. I think last 2 weeks we've been inside the plus 40, like 8 trips and got 7 points, 0 points, something like that. So to me, just consistently executing the routine plays isn't showing up, and that's a deal with coaching, a deal with executing, a deal with playing. We all got to get on the same page and find a way to get past that, because that's really keeping us from becoming what I think we can be as an offense.
Hey, good afternoon, Coach. Just want to ask you about Sam Cosmi. Obviously, there's going to take some time for him to get fully up to speed, but where do you think he is coming back from that injury?
Yeah, he's done a nice job. I mean, he's a big, physical, tough guy. Just like you said, he's got to get his wind back, get his legs back. But he's had some really nice games to start, and I think he'll just get better and better. The confidence has to continue to come along for him to really cut it loose. But I like what I've seen, and we all appreciate that he's back out there and wants to be out there and playing at a high level.
And then just wanted to ask you about the 4th and 1 call in Kansas City. Is that a deep to short read, and just kind of like the thought process behind that versus going for a shorter play to get the first down?
Yeah, we were going to take our shot. We loved the matchup we had with Terry on the safety. Just had some miscommunication and didn't hit it, unfortunately. But we liked the opportunity. We just didn't hit it.
Going back to the run game, you said for the first 5 weeks, I think you guys are the #1 rushing team in the NFL. So when it's going well, what does it look like, and what isn't happening over the last 3 weeks that maybe matches that production?
Yeah, I think, week in, week out, you're playing different defenses. Teams are trying to do different things to take you away. You have different players up or out of the game that impact that as well. So it's just having a great plan week in, week out, and then being able to find answers in game to make adjustments that can take advantage of certain things. So I think not getting behind helps, there's no doubt, and playing with a lead, that is when those rushing attempts really come through. But just being able to execute at a high level early on in the game to stay on schedule and just consistently do it.
And when you don't have Terry out there and Debo out there, how different are they playing you with the stacked boxes, with 8, whatever it is, and how much does that contribute to?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was referencing. You're going to get some different looks and different defenses when you don't have to account for caliber players like that. And we got some young guys at receiver, like I said, that have stepped up and made plays, but that definitely provides some challenges when those guys aren't out there to really do what they do.
You guys have had a bunch of different groups that have played on the O-line, and it seems kind of the norm for the NFL now where you have to kind of gel with a bunch of different guys. How do you stop kind of either communication breakdowns or mistakes in kind of key moments that seem to be plaguing them from time to time this season?
Yeah, that's one of the things I mentioned earlier, just the inconsistency kind of in those critical spots. I mean, just cutting down linemen loose or miscommunication on a pass route or things of that nature. And I think just collectively as an offense, those are things that are showing up. We nailed it last year in critical moments in situational football, and we just haven't hit those marks this year. And so that's something as coaches and players we just got to focus on and be better.
And then for Brandon Coleman, how does he go from being inactive multiple weeks in a row to kind of stepping in and being asked to be the starter, and how do you think he handled that role?
I thought he did well. It's a guy who played in the NFC Championship last year as a rookie, so he's got a lot of playing experience in big moments, and I thought he stepped in and executed at a high level, and so I was really proud of him being able to do that.
To follow up on that, Chris Paul played well since he's been in the lineup. What does Brandon Coleman – is there something that Brandon Coleman can do to sort of get back in there, or is it just, hey, this is Chris Paul's job until further notice?
Yeah, Chris has earned it. He's played at a high level, and I think that's the bottom line. Not that we're down on Brandon, but Chris has just performed at that level.
And in terms of the passing game last year, you guys had the vertical pass was maybe more prominent than it's been this year. Obviously, part of that's the injuries, but you also had guys last year like Diami who were able to make those plays. Is that element lacking this year? Is there somebody? Is it Lane or somebody who can give you more of that?
Yeah, I mean, Terry is great at it. Noah Brown was great at it. You mentioned Diami had some big ones, so don't have those guys, and I think we're still trying to figure out who that is to really stretch the field and push that down the field. But that was a big part of our offense, and we haven't been able to capitalize on that just yet.
Hey, Coach. In the past, we've talked to you all a lot about collaborative decision-making and what that may look like. So on a game day, who do you kind of lean on, if anyone, in just making the call on what you all do? Yeah,
we have pretty good communication throughout on the offensive headset. If you all the position coaches are on there, and so we're talking through situations. Once the drive's going, it's pretty quiet unless I ask for something, but in between drives we're all collaborating about adjustments, play calls we like, what we missed, what we got to do better. And so throughout the game there's pretty much constant chatter.
And I know you talked a lot about time on task, but I guess now at this point in the season it's like, hey, injuries are happening and it kind of is what it is. Mm-hmm. So is your approach kind of like just work with who you have and what you have right now? Yeah,
it always has been. Like I said, I think we as an offense have to practice better and practice more consistently, whoever's up, to have that show up on Sundays. And right now we just haven't been doing that to the level we need to do it. So it's kind of next man up mentality, and we got to nail that. Thank y'all.